So you were getting, the Biden administration was buying ads from you?
Yeah, I was doing full-on political propaganda.
And they would just, really, with like what kind of, like, Biden created 10 million jobs this year?
Yeah, honestly, and the funny thing is they're like, do not disclose this is an ad because, you know, they're like, technically it's not a product, so you don't have to disclose it's an ad.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering.
America!
Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. Social media has taken over all of our lives. I mean, right now, you're watching this on some app, on some device, right? It's been integral for all of our lives, but especially for our young people who grew up in this social media age. They know nothing but having a phone and having an Instagram account or having a TikTok or whatever it is that kids are on these days. Yes, I'm old. Let's not talk about it.
Getting old sucks. Don't let anybody tell you any different.
That said, you would forgive these kids for being taken in by what is clearly political propaganda being perpetuated not only by influencers, but by the people paying them. Specifically, when we're talking about the Democratic Party and people on the left who are paying for engagement with these social media users. But before we get to all of this, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. And if you like what you're seeing here in this or any other video on this here channel, be sure to smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff, because all that feeds the YouTube algorithm.
Yes, it must feed.
I know, it's pretty ironic that I'm bringing you a story about political propaganda on social media from a channel on social media discussing politics. Well, let me promise you this. There are no sponsors on this channel. I'm not being paid by anyone. This is coming from my brain and my heart straight to you guys. And I hope that you realize that this is authentic, unlike what we're going to be talking about in this video. So we're going to start with this interview that was done with commentator Richard Hanania. I hope I got your name right, Richard. Full credit to you for what we're about to show here. This is an interview with a social media influencer named Farha Khalidi. She is known for her TikTok and her OnlyFans.
Oh yeah, spicy.
And she's good at what she does. She has many followers. She makes a living out of doing this. Well, this part of the interview with Richard Hanania discusses how Khalidi was approached by people to promote Biden administration talking points. You got to listen to this and understand how the game is played, folks.
So you were in school, you were still in college when you started as a TikTok person, right? Or you started OnlyFans when you were in school too?
No, I started TikTok like the spring semester of my senior year, and I was like, fuck, I finally have to start applying for law school. And then, like, you know, female privilege, life is so easy for a, you know, woman. Obviously, I lucked out. I'm just kidding. I lucked out. And then, you know, TikTok was basically full time for me. I think I was taking ads by the time I graduated college from like the Biden administration and Planned Parenthood and like dating apps and stuff. So it was like fully financially, you know, sustaining.
So you were getting, the Biden administration was buying ads from you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to begrudge this young woman from earning a living the way that she is. I say get your money while you can on social media. If you're one of the lucky ones out there to do it, great. I'm not going to begrudge you that at all. What I am going to say is for the viewers of her content, the people that she's influencing, this should be an eyes open moment for you, that she's being paid to say what she thinks about certain issues, and in this case, the Biden administration. It's pretty interesting, right?
I was doing full-on political propaganda.
And they would just, really, with like what kind of, like, Biden created 10 million jobs this year?
Yeah, honestly, and the funny thing is they're like, do not disclose this is an ad because, you know, they're like, technically it's not a product, so you don't have to disclose it's an ad.
That sounds shady.
Because I think they just wanted like some edgy girl of color to just tell people, like, when they nominated like Ketanji Brown Jackson, they're like, can you say, like, as a person of color, you know, that you feel reflected? And it's like a white woman emailing this to me, and she's like giving me this script, and I'm like, no. And she's like,
playing that race card.
That's crazy, isn't it? Now think about social media influence and interaction. People like to talk about going viral or issues going viral, people going viral. This is manufactured influencing. This is a political party. In this case, you're talking about the Biden administration or someone that maybe is connected to the DNC or someone connected to political causes contacting her to say, hey, can we pay you to say these things about this issue? In this case, it's talking about the reaction to Ketanji Brown Jackson being nominated for Justice of the Supreme Court, and they wanted to create faux engagement about how this is a big deal for women of color. Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't a big deal for women of color, but to foment that idea, that influence on people, to put that out into the ether of social media, that is creating a buzz, not an organic creation of a buzz as people would have you believe. That's why when people talk about Joe Biden and all these people being behind Joe Biden and all that, it's manufactured. Again, I'm not going to begrudge the people who are taking the money to do this. They're doing their job. They're getting paid to do what they're doing. But you on social media, especially any young people watching this video, I want this to be a cautionary tale for you to have a more discerning eye about what is being said to you by your favorite influencer, by your favorite personality on social media. You need to understand how the game is played, that whoever is talking to you about how much they love Joe Biden or Ketanji Brown Jackson in this case, they may be getting paid to say that. They may be getting paid to influence you. So always look beyond the surface level of what is going on social media.
Please. And I'm like, no, I'll like talk about the news of it, but I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to have a white person tell me to be like, this is how I feel as a person of color. Like, it's just so, I think that black-pilled me slightly on like, political propaganda stuff.
So the Biden administration sees, here's this young,
yeah, I mean, they use like a conduit. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not Biden, but it's like Biden. It's like a third party, you know what I mean? It's like a media company that's doing it on his behalf.
So you see what's going on here. There are layers between the actual political influence and the influencer. There's going to be reps from politicians, maybe even third-party companies that have contracted independent vendors who will be contracting with either the influencer themselves or another independent vendor employing the influencer. There's a lot of steps in between party A and party B, the party they're talking about and the party that is delivering the message. This is how the game is played. We need to start looking beyond all these influences out there, because behind these influencers is the money of people that are looking to influence you, the consumer.
I'm not blaming him for this.
Yeah. And the message is like, because you're a dark-skinned woman, you will be inspired by Ketanji Brown Jackson and all the kids should support her.
Yeah, they're like, basically as like another black person, just say that like you feel reflected by Ketanji. I'm like, no, I'll talk about like Ketanji's background and her accomplishments, but like I never, you know what I mean? Like I'm not going to say like the corny stuff. Even if it was a brown person emailing it to me, I'm like, no, that's not like how I feel. Like I don't look at like Ketanji and feel like, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to give Miss Khalidi here a lot of credit for being open and transparent about how the game is played on her social media channels and how she is actually getting paid. She's making bank on this, and good for her for doing it. And I appreciate the openness and honesty of it. But not every influencer is open and honest about how the game is played, especially the next two buffoons that you're about to see. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. If you guys spend any time on X or Twitter, especially in the political circles on there, I'm sure you've seen tweets from these two buffoons right here. Chris Mowry on the left, Harry Season on the right. Two just regular chaps talking about the Biden administration 24/7, 365, as you would do if you're a young person, right? Clearly, they have been shills for the Biden administration, but recently there's been chatter on the Twitters talking about how they have been getting paid from the DNC. Now, to be technically correct and to be as pedantic as possible, they are not being paid by the DNC directly. Their media company, of which they are employed with, is getting paid by the DNC. So again, like it is with Miss Khalidi in the previous video, it's not an A to B connection. There are layers to this between the product and the influencer. The product being Joe Biden, the influencer being these two buffoons. But they want you to believe in this now deleted video that they're not in any way involved with the DNC. They're on the up and up. They're totally honest and truthful and candid in what they believe, and getting paid by their company in no way influences what they're saying. A lot less genuine than what we saw with Farhad Khalidi in the previous segment.
But recently, many people on the right have been accusing myself and Chris of being paid by the DNC, and we just wanted to come on and say that's an incredibly dumb thing to think.
Yeah, like, congratulations, you discovered we're both signed to Palette Management, which is in our bios. And Palette's a huge company, right? They do marketing work, they do management work. So they receive that money to do marketing and to cover travel expenses separate from what we do. So we haven't seen a dime of that $200,000. Like, do you really think I would dress like this if I had $200,000?
Come on. See, this is the stuff I can't stand when it comes to influencing, right? Would I really be wearing this hoodie and these shorts if I was making $200,000 a year? Because I would never stage how I look in any of these videos. I mean, I wouldn't create a trademark of wearing a hoodie all the time. I'm just a regular guy like you guys. I don't have $200,000. My media company has $200,000, and we just happen to talk about issues that are congruent with the people paying my media company.
Unbelievable. Did they think we're stupid?
Again, young people out there, this is what goes on under the surface of these influencers. Don't be made into a buffoon by these buffoons.
And again, it's all public information. And you discovered we're Democrats, and we're going to vote for Joe Biden, which I think most people already knew.
And look, if the DNC is handing out checks, we should be first in line to receive them. But that's simply not happening, and we haven't received a dime from the DNC.
Cut the bullshit.
Again, they're being pedantic as you know what here. We haven't received a dime from the DNC. Just our media company has received a lot of money from them. But we haven't received a thing. We get paid by Palette Management. Doesn't matter where the source of funds is. They just get paid to influence. But they're totally Democrats, y'all, and they believe what they believe and how they believe it. Or do they? This is a clip from the Tim Dillon show with the same two dunderheads we've been talking about. Chris and Harry here went on the show to discuss politics, and listen to this little nugget from about a year ago.
To be honest, like it's actually really hard in this space, right? Like we have like 45 seconds to record a video, keep people's attention. And a lot of the people on our side, like if they start hearing, like I've actually done it before. I've criticized like a Democrats, like specifically Hakeem Jeffries, and it all just went south. Like I started losing followers. Like it's bad, right? And I really want to be that person that like reaches the other side, because Democrats, I mean, they're horrible at their jobs, right? They do a lot of shitty things, although I'll vote for them all the time.
Well, look at that. A little bit of honesty from the influencer. I guess he was off the clock here when he was talking about this. But there's two things I want to bring out. First, obviously, the loss of engagement that comes when you're not preaching to the choir anymore. People like this create an echo chamber among young people that want to keep hearing what they want to hear. We see this a lot with activists like Hassan Piker. We see this with these people as well. They create these echo chambers where you have to keep feeding that machine exactly what they want to hear all the time. And sometimes what you really want to say is how bad your own side is. I do it all the time. I've been getting hate messages from people on Facebook and other places when I compared Alec Baldwin to Donald Trump in the previous video. They didn't like that. Frankly, I don't care if you like it. I'm going to call it as I see it. I'm not bought and paid for by anyone. There are no sponsors on here. I'm just a middle-aged guy, originally from Brooklyn, New York, just mouthing off, saying exactly what I'm saying. But clearly, these young people who are looking to make their money have to say certain things. Otherwise, they lose the influence, and they could lose, ultimately, their clients here. But it's very interesting how they all start out in this place of purity almost. I want to be able to say honestly what I want to say. He clearly said, I was talking bad about Hakeem Jeffries, and then I started losing people, but I want to be that person to talk to the other side. Well, if that's what you want, Chris, then do it. Screw the money, stand by your principles, and do it. I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people out there who will be willing to engage with you and who will also be willing to pay you for your honest views rather than your manufactured views.
But it's also hard in the space to criticize.
That's a
them.
good. Can we clip that quote? They're horrible
please
at their
don't.
jobs.
Please,
they do shitty things.
please don't clip that.
Them.
Please, no, please.
Oh no, please don't clip that. You're going to get us in trouble. Again, these young people have their overlords to answer to, not only with pallet management, presumably, but also the clients of pallet management who are paying them for the engagement, paying them for the clicks, paying them for the clout that they're providing to their issues and concerns and candidates. So this freak out here, I think, is genuine when you see what's at stake for these people. And honestly, I have sympathy for them. They're new to this game. They're young adults trying to make their way, and they want to have their voice, and they're saying things, but they end up getting co-opted, much like the students at the different universities now at all these tent cities and sit-ins who are co-opted by far-left fringe forces. These people are being co-opted by more centrist points of view because they're using them for their clout. I'm going to end things up the way I started. I have no problem with social media influencers who are open, honest, and transparent about taking in money to talk about different points of view. I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's a sponsor read. Everybody does sponsor reads on social media all over the place. It's an everyday thing. I have no problem with it. The problem I have is with the disingenuine buffoons out there who are trying to pass this off as their own views, and also with the machines behind the influencers who are taking money in order to spread propaganda that they may think is not true. There's a lot of propaganda out there that you need to weed through, especially in this election cycle. So I just want to caution everybody again, be vigilant. Go beyond the surface layer. Go and research who these people are, what they do, and what they're saying, and think for yourselves beyond the talking points of even me. Everything that I say, go and research it. Go and prove me wrong. Engage with me, and let's get to the real truth of what things are and what they aren't. I'm here on this ride with you, and I promise that I will always be an honest broker in these discussions with you. I'm not going to be influenced by any side, one side or the other, any personality, or any money that hopefully, maybe one day comes my way. I'm always going to be authentic with you guys, and I know that you will be with me as well. So let's get in the comments together and discuss this. And as always, like and share the show with your friends, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys in the comments with some real, honest, straight talk discussing this issue and all the shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.